Well, welcome to Real People, Real Voices. I'm your host, James Jackson.
And I'm Pastor Wayne Moore.
It's going to be a great show today as we center in on education.
Yes, very, very, very important.
You know, education at all levels is extremely important. And I think in our communities, whether the city of Indianapolis or other cities across the nation, if education is broken, then the city is going to be broken.
Most definitely. I think that's a problem, not only in our city, but all across the country, where education is more so concerned about the business side and not the individual. And we need to get back to that approach to where people become more important than the business side of education. So that's where we are right now in Indianapolis and across the country.
And you know, Dr. Moore, ultimately we want to see all of our young people in our cities make it to college.
Right.
And our guest today is Dr. Dave Smith. He is Dean of Wesley Seminary, Indiana Wesleyan University. Of course, I graduated from Wesley Seminary.
Did he have anything to do with your grade or anything? Is that why he's on the show today? Because he's...
Well, you know, fortunately, he came in when I was getting ready to graduate.
Oh, okay.
So that would make my grade authentic.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 3.86.
Well, that's great. That's good. If he would have been there, you would have been 4.0.
So we want you to stay tuned right here on Real People, Real Voices. We have an incredible guest. Dr. Dave is going to be talking to us, not just about Wesley Seminary. Of course, Indiana Wesleyan has several sites in Indianapolis, and we want to make sure that those of you who are in our viewing audience know how you can get connected. You know, Dr. Moore, not all the young people or middle-aged people, older people will go to the site. Some go online.
Right. That's a great advantage for people who can't make it to the campus atmosphere. It's phenomenal.
And I found that online was okay, and I waited till the end to do my electives because I thought, you know, online was going to be tough, but it turned out all right.
Good. Yeah. Well, you're a graduate now. You have your MDiv.
Yeah.
And so you are now what we consider in Indianapolis a major preacher.
Yeah, and I don't know if that makes me preach better. I have to ask my members about that. So stay tuned right here on Real People, Real Voices. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to Real People, Real Voices. Dr. Moore, we have a great show.
Yes. I'm excited about our guest today. I'm looking forward to hearing about the information he has for the community.
So, Dr. Dave, thank you for coming. And I want to say that I really appreciate all the wonderful things that I experienced there at Wesley Seminary over the 3.3 years I was there.
Counting the days, have we?
Yeah. So kind of talk about your role. Of course, you're sort of new to being a dean there. Talk about your role and how, you know, what's in the future for Wesley Seminary.
Sure. I was the dean of the School of Theology and Ministry, the undergraduate side at Indiana Wesleyan, for 10 years. Then I went up to Kingswood University in New Brunswick, Canada, and was the academic dean there at a Bible college that turned into a university. And then Wayne Schmidt, who you know was the head of the seminary, invited me to come back and to lead the seminary, particularly the academic side of the seminary. So I have had this wonderful journey with Indiana Wesleyan and the Wesleyan Church. And the question was, as Wayne Schmidt asked me to come back, I would like you to think not just about making the seminary stronger, but making the church stronger. This is not just about an academic institution. It is how we at the seminary can actually serve the church and help her to become stronger, especially as the church is so instrumental in developing the community to be a strong place, both of faith and of economic vitality.
And we talked off air about partnerships, and the partnership that I was involved in was the Tom Benjamin School of Ministry cohort.
Right.
But you indicated that you all have several partnerships.
We do, and we think that's vitally important. The old paradigm for seminary was, if you wanted to go to seminary, leave where you are, go to where the seminary is, and we'll spend 3 years teaching you, and then send you back. But of course, the problem is you become disconnected from the area or the community in which you were serving. That's an old model that none of us like anymore.
What's the new model?
Well, the new model is this. You stay in ministry. You do classes either on a weekly basis, 1 day a week, 1 night a week, or online classes where all the assignments we give you are not papers that you write that you'll file away and never be used, but we want you to do assignments that will be implemented immediately in the local church. So there is not a disconnect between the teaching of theology and practical ministry experience. The two are integrated in a way that creates outcomes that have academic success in the classroom and spiritual success in the local church.
You know what, Pastor, you need to be commended right now because the Wesleyan Church and Wesleyan, the school there now, is reaching out into the Afro-American community in a major way. I have some students in my church, at least 4 students that attend your program. And I think that's phenomenal. For many years, the Wesleyan Church did not reach into the Afro-American community. And thank God for Dr. Tom Benjamin, who has worked in this partnership. We see a lot more of our people in the Afro-American community going to Indiana Wesleyan now.
Yeah, and we call that our contextualized approach, which instead of you come to our context, we create a seminary education for your context. So, for example, right now on campus, we have about 50 Hispanic pastors that have come to us from Colombia, Ecuador, Florida. They're coming up for these intensive classes that they'll be taking. But we are the only seminary that actually delivers a MDiv in Spanish online.
Around the country?
Around the world.
Wow.
We actually have cohorts in Bogota, Colombia, and we're having conversations what will take place in Spain. We really are church-minded, not institutional-minded. If this is good for the Indianapolis community, we want to do it. If not, we won't do it. Our call is very simple. How can you strengthen and serve the church?
And I can tell you, Dr. Moore, that while I was in the program, there are a lot of the things that we were being taught or experiencing in the class that we were actually doing or getting ready to do at the church.
Prior learning assessments as well.
Right.
You do give credit for prior learning assessment.
We are moving in what's actually called that to competency-based education.
Right.
The problem, of course, is our accreditation. We need to make sure we stay accredited. So we're moving in that direction, and it will become more and more cutting edge in terms of education. So you have prior learning. We will give you assessment or credit for that. So that will actually do 2 things: shorten the time period for your education, plus lower the possibility of the burden of student debt. That is just an abysmal situation that education is in. You have to be educated to get a job, but you have to pay so much money to get education, it almost makes it unaffordable.
That's phenomenal because when you look at education today, it has a strong business end.
Yeah.
And it's just not concerned about students like it used to be 20, 25 years ago. Because it's based on how many students I can get in the first year,
Right.
and how many I can get that first year and the first year and the first year. Not really concerned if they make it through their discipline. We just want the resources, and it sounds like Indiana Wesleyan is taking the opposite. They're twisting that ideology and putting more focus on the individual now.
And we are, as I said, less involved in the success of the institution
Right.
of Wesley Seminary and more involved in the success of the church. If we can do that, I know the Lord will bless us on the other end.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about this cohort, the Hispanic cohort, well, folks in Bogota cannot pay the same tuition that folks here in the U.S. can pay. They don't have any kind of student loans. So we have to set up partnerships within that partnership to be able to help them underwrite the cost of education. And we plan on taking that to the world, not just to the Hispanic world, but I just got back from China. Well, I'll be in India very soon. How do we take our seminary education and contextualize it on a global marketplace?
That's very creative.
Yeah.
Now, are you seeing much enrollment from Indianapolis?
Yes. Tom Benjamin has been such a wonderful partner. Bishop Benjamin is one of those people that when he speaks, people listen. So he's done ads for us on TV, and we've gotten people that have just called Indiana Wesleyan and said, I heard Bishop Benjamin speak. I don't even know what he was talking about, but he said, call this number. I'm being obedient. He has been so helpful in us creating opportunities to speak into people's lives, and not to recruit, but to basically ask this question, can we serve you? If we can, then come. So we don't consider this recruitment, we consider this student institutional partnership.
Let me ask you a question. Say, for instance, there's a young man or young woman who has a call on their life and they want to attend Wesleyan, have no resources. What would you do to help that person?
First thing to do is to call and to make yourself known. If you sit back and say, let me just pray and ask the Lord to do a miracle, that could happen. But very often, miracles actually take place when people begin conversations together,
right,
and we link up together. So make the call to the school, or you can go to seminary.indwest, INDWES.edu, and you can begin looking at things online for enrollment. Then we can begin talking about conversations of scholarships, of financial aid, et cetera. But we have to begin the conversation.
Well, Dr. Dave, thank you. We've had just a tremendous pleasure having you here.
Thanks so much for inviting me.
Appreciate it. And we'll be back after this. Welcome back to Real People, Real Voices. I'm James Jackson.
And I'm Pastor Wayne Moore.
And we're talking about what we were talking about in our first segment,
Right.
education.
Right.
And I think this next segment here is still educational, but in a different way.
Well, we have the queen of networking with us now, and she's going to do everything she can to help us with our abilities to start networking in our community so people can become a part of Real People and Real Voices.
Yeah, she's going to talk to us about her book, Smingling.
Right.
And I think that has something to do with mingling, networking. So she's put a spin on it. Faith, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
So talk to us about networking, relationships. Everything is about communication, communicating, and it has been said that communication is quite possibly the most important word in the English language. But without you need that to network. Networking could possibly be very important.
Well, it's all about relationships. Relationships. And that's what networking helps to facilitate. And, when it comes to networking, people do it all wrong. We go to networking events. You've been to a networking event before, and you go in and you think, wow, I don't know anybody here. Or you think, I need to get this project done. I need to sell this product. Who can I get to buy? That's the wrong way to think about networking. Networking is all about give. How can I serve others? And that should be your attitude when you walk into a networking event.
In your book, you talk about being in the right place at the right time.
Positioning. Positioning is key when you want to make sure that you are meeting people, the right people. Now, that means, let's say, for instance, you're going for a job to be a plumber. Now, you're not going to go to the ballerina convention. You're going to go where the plumbers are, right? So you position yourself where the people who not only make the decisions are, but people who work and think like you are so that you can communicate a lot easier. Use that word, communicate. You want to make sure you're where you feel comfortable, and also where you can move up as far as your relationships.
Now, I found out something very, very interesting about you. And just listening to a podcast on the internet, I would have never known, Dr. Moore, that Faith was a janitor, served as a janitor, but you've moved up. Now you're an author. You have your own business. That's incredible.
Well, my message is that you can do anything you want from wherever you are. And a lot of times people make choices earlier in their life, and sometimes you're kind of stuck with those choices and you have to move and work around them, but you can still achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. And my dream is to be a speaker and travel the world. And so I kept up that dream and worked on that goal while I worked as a janitor. And it's been great. I wrote the book. I've interviewed celebrities. I've interviewed Dan Rather, Kirk Franklin, Colin Powell, Lee Daniels, a ton of people. But it didn't matter what I did for my day job. They just cared about that I was there interviewing them and doing a great job.
They weren't even concerned about what you did.
Nobody even asked.
With networking, do you believe that not only do you have to communicate and be where and position yourselves, but your demeanor?
Exactly.
It's more than a business card.
It's way more than a business card. Yes, we go with the know, like, and trust factor. You know, 92% of people do business with people they know, like, and trust. So networking gives you an opportunity to begin the conversation and carry it outside of the networking arena. So you may say, hey, you know, you like somebody and you hit it off. Hey, you want to go to a game? My son's playing a baseball game. I think you and your kids might enjoy it. And you carry it out further. You take it outside of the networking arena. That's just the start.
Yeah. Well, we're excited about the things you're doing and the direction that you're going in. When I first met you, I was at an event, and you were doing selfies. And so you came over, and you did a selfie with me, and then you were doing selfies with other people. Most people are sort of introverted. So how do you deal with introverted people and getting them to be just a little bit more extroverted and connecting with others?
Well, believe it or not, I'm an introvert. And so taking selfies was a way for me to connect with people in a split second, but then follow up with a card and a picture later so that there was a connection and I could have something to give. You know, networking is all about give, give, give. So taking the picture and sending it was my way of offering something of value.
I like when she says, she redefines networking when she says, give, give, give. How does
most people like take.
Yeah, I want to receive this. So how does a person prepare themselves to have that type of attitude?
Well, I think what it is you have to know what it is that you want to do. What it is, why are you going to network? And then think about what you're going to say. You know, going to a networking event takes preparation, and you have to have what you call the elevator pitch, right? And you have the elevator pitch, you practice, 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 because a lot of times when you meet someone new, what do? You kind of stutter your words and stumble over them. Well, you practice your pitch, and that helps give you confidence when you're meeting new people. You have confidence to speak with people because you know that, one, you know what you're talking about, and two, you know, you want to wear clothes that are comfortable so you feel good and you look good.
Right.
Those things, those two things, knowing what you're talking about and having the confidence, that'll get you far in networking.
And now her pitch with me was, you look like somebody I need to know.
Absolutely.
And of course, I was like,
No.
I was like, well, why are you thinking that? But,
Well, you know,
but it made me feel like,
I
hey,
have to agree with her. You do look like somebody people need to know.
But I think that was her pitch, though.
Yeah, well.
No, it wasn't.
I think she
it
meant
really
it.
wasn't. That was genuine.
You know, I'm beginning to think, you know, with real people and real voices, I believe you're bringing people on this show that have. I'm just kidding. you know what I mean. No, but all jokes aside, that is true. I mean, you got to have a pitch. You got to have we call it an angle.
Right.
To get in.
But
And
honestly, when I met you, you had a big cowboy hat on, and you were the only person in the whole room of 300 people with a cowboy hat on. I said, he looks like somebody I need to know.
You wore a cowboy hat.
A white cowboy hat.
Yeah, I don't quite remember that.
It was a good pitch then. If you wore a cowboy hat, that was a dynamic
But be
pitch.
yourself. Be genuine. That's part
Right,
of it.
right.
Don't try to be someone that you're not. And at that moment, I wasn't trying to be someone I wasn't, but I was really stating a fact. And sometimes when you are in the moment, you kind of have to act on it. And I acted on that, and it's paid dividends.
Well,
See
thanks
what
for
I
being
mean?
with us. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time on Real People, Real Voices. Welcome back to Real People, Real Voices. I'm Pastor James Jackson.
And I'm Pastor Wayne Moore.
And we're just having a wonderful time talking about education and networking on this show today. And we're going to give you the rundown. Faith McKinney with Sharon Chin, her book, Schmoozing, Mingling, Schmingling.
Yeah.
I was able to say all that.
Yeah, you did. You did a great job, Jackson. I have to. She's a great lady. I mean, to look at networking the way she's coined it is phenomenal. Give, give, give. That's unusual when it comes to networking. And when you go to most events in the city, most people ask you your name and find out what you do, and they give you a card. She's extended that.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
And I've learned some things just talking with Faith, and her book has a lot to share about how to become more effective at networking. I consider myself kind of a community alchemist and being able to bring people together and mix different
Ideas.
and different perspectives so that you can have a positive outcome in solving different problems.
Right. And I think with her approach to it, that can happen. It's not a business approach. It's a personal, people approach. And I think if more people use that philosophy, I think the world and the business world would be a better place.
You know, Dr. Moore, I think in the 21st century, a lot of people are doing their own thing versus networking. And with the problems that we are faced with in our community, I don't think any one organization or any one person can solve the problem by themselves.
No one person or one institution is going to take all of us to fix whatever is wrong in this community, and we have to leave whatever our egos are at the doors that we enter and come collectively to try to solve some of those issues. And I think the idea of networking together brings that into play.
And I think that works for the church, local government, state government. I think it works for business, philanthropy, and all of these different organizations where education is concerned. If we're going to see fewer young people expelled or put out of school or suspended, out of school suspensions, I think bringing all the people together, networking people, communicating, can help us. And I think on the end of that, I think we can see fewer acts of criminal violence. You
will see change. A lot of people figure that they have the remedy and answers to every situation that comes up. But it goes back to the idea of working collectively and networking and talking things out. And no one person has the answer. No one person has the total compensation. Everybody has to be involved in it to eradicate some of the ills that are going on in our community. Not to suggest that our community is a bad place, but it can always do better. And as we try to make it better, networking is going to be a key.
You know, back in the day, business folks had Rolodex. And if you had a good Rolodex, you could be successful in business. I think the Rolodex is still applicable to the 21st century business person or people who want to be successful. Of course, we have electronic devices now that aid us in making connections with people. In fact, there are some apps that people have on their smartphones that when you meet people, you can exchange information
immediately. Immediately, and that's good. But just to hear somebody's voice, just to shake somebody's hand, just to be in the place where they are, means more than a lot of the technology that we're experiencing right now. Because some of the technology has made us distant from one another.
Well, we want to thank you for joining us today on Real People, Real Voices, talking about education, networking, and communication. And I hope that you will join us next week right here on Real People, Real Voices. God bless you.
God bless you.